Anybody keeping track of the numbers here? 70 billion plus 70 billion is what? 140? Plus another 60 billion? 200 billion. Hey, what's a few billion between friends? There are only 9 million people in New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, and only 4 million of them are working. Do the computation. It's scary what an average couple owes. Now, let me ask you a question. At any time in the last 4 years, have you heard the current governor of New Jersey come out and lay out those numbers for you? And the answer is no. I just did it for you. Why did I do it? Because I've taken the time to find out the numbers. And by the way, no one ran up to me and said, hey, Merkt, here are the numbers. You have to dig this stuff out. And this is why experience matters. This is why experience matters. You have to know. And by the way, it's interesting. I could take lines out of John Corzine's campaign speeches and his speeches as governor over the last 4 years and recite them back to you, and you'll go, yeah, Merck's got it. One of Corzine's famous comments was he said, if you want to get out of a hole, the first thing you do, you should stop digging. That's before he borrowed another $4 billion last year. We're going in the wrong direction, folks. Now, this bill's being left to you and to our grandchildren. It's really frightening. So, what does this all mean? Well, it means we got to change the system. And I'm not talking Barack Obama change. I'm talking about specific mechanical changes. I'm talking about things I will do as governor as the opportunity presents itself. One affects COA, one affects school funding. They're both aimed at the Supreme Court. As I said, change the court and you change New Jersey. You kick the decisions back to elected officials, and at least then we can begin to work on the problem. I have heard person after person in Trenton say, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can, the Supreme Court's making me do this. And my response is, eliminate that obstacle. Eliminate the current majority on the Supreme Court. Not bad people, by the way. I've met them, they're decent folk. I happen to think our Supreme Court is politically made up to begin with. But they have no clue what their proper constitutional role is. What do you want in a judge, by the way? I'm sorry to wander all around, but you know, I don't have many opportunities like this to really speak freely. I don't know about you, but when I have a court, I want the court to protect my rights by making sure that when I go in and litigate against Emily, and she goes before the court, and I go before the court, and we have a legitimate difference of opinion, that the court will make an impartial and unbiased decision under the law. What I don't want is a court that will change the law in the middle of the decision. Yeah, you know what, Merkt, you're right. You're absolutely right under the law, but let's face it, Emily's better looking. A lot better looking. It's kind of like the Super Bowl. The Steelers kick off, and they give it to the Cardinals, and they say, okay, Cardinals, it's 1st and 10, but you know, you guys don't have nearly the team the Steelers have, but so for you, it's 1st and 5. Whoa, you just changed the rules in the middle of the game. That's what the Supreme Court has done again and again in New Jersey, and that's because they're not aware of their proper function. They think that they have a larger role. They think that they somehow have this moral superiority when it comes to making policy. Folks, that's many things, but it's not America. It's not our system. And the reason I focus on this is because your property taxes are defined by what the Supreme Court has done. What it's done to you under COA, the Mount Laurel decision, and what it's done to you under Abbott, the school funding decision. And those are the two elements that make up, in most cases, 2/3 of your property tax. You want to change the property tax system, you have to change COA, you have to change Abbott, and you have to change the Supreme Court. I don't think I can make it any clearer than that. That's what this election is about next year, this year. It's about choosing a governor. And by the way, I want all Republican governors to put their cards on the table. And I credit Steve Lonegan. He's met the challenge. He's agreed with me. They're all going to be fired. Every last one, without exception. They're not bad people, but they do not have the right understanding of the separation of powers. And maybe I have a bias because I'm a legislator and I'm elected and I'm accountable to the people, but I happen to think that's the way decisions should be made in a democratic republic. See, I work in both words, Democrat and Republic, at the same time, so I'm bipartisan. That's the heart of it. It doesn't mean that we won't have a policy on affordable housing. We will still have a policy on affordable housing. Of course we want to encourage affordable housing. But central planning ain't going to cut it. And you know what? I am tired of having a system mandated by the Supreme Court on education that says 80% of our kids get underfunded in public schools so that 20% can get 63% of the money. That's just plain wrong. And the legislature can work this out. The legislature does not need dictates from the Supreme Court. By the way, I'll just throw in as one other line, I happen to think the legislature is twice as large as it needs to be. It would be a stronger body were it a smaller body, and it used to be half the size. Back to the Future might actually serve us pretty well.